Hello everyone, my name is Christian and welcome to my hobby blog. Today we're going to talk about a recent acquisition that I got from Era Video, a 4K limited edition, and that is Sergio Corbucci's Django. This also comes with the unofficial sequel, Texas Adios, which I will discuss soon. But first, let's go through the physical packaging. So it's in this really hard box. It's thick, really well made, pretty stiff. And of course, as with all Era Video 4K Unlimiteds or limited editions, it comes with a poster, which I'm not going to undo, but it's the original theatrical poster, which is really fun. It comes with a pretty big booklet of essays, which has a lot of pictures and essays. There are 3 or 4 essays. The first one is all about the movie Django and kind of the making of. The second one is all about the career of Sergio Corbucci and talking about all his movies. And wow, I did not realize there were so many titles by him that I've known and seen Era Video release. So I need to check those out. And there's another essay all about the Western spaghetti genre and talking about the relationship between the two Sergios, Sergio Corbucci and Sergio Leone. And then it comes with excerpts of a diary by Sergio Corbucci all about him talking about the movie. And I believe that's it. I didn't read it all. My favorite one that I actually read was the Sergio Corbucci career retrospective. It was very interesting. I didn't know really anything about him. I've seen Django 4 or 5 times now in the last 2 or 3 years, and I love the movie. Hadn't seen Texas Adios, which is a whole nother director. But the final piece of the set is, of course, the case. It comes in a 2-disc set, so you open it up and you have the little card hint about a release. It's for the stylist. They've already released it, but they have the first disc here and then the second disc here, which is Texas Adios. So this is a really great set. I don't know if it's still in print because Django has had a very complicated history in terms of its release on physical media. Arrow has released it like 3 or 4 different times, and it always shuts down before release. So sometimes there was like maybe 100 copies sent out before they got embargoed or sued because of weird copyright that Blue Underground had. But they finally figured it all out, and they've been pretty for a while releasing this. So I was able to score the limited edition. I just love the set. It is so good. But I did rewatch these movies today just to kind of refresh myself before doing this review of the product. But I've only saw one supplement, which is the about 30-minute interview with Franco Nero, who plays Django in the original movie. And that was really amazing. He discussed how, just one of the big facts that kind of blew my mind that he discussed was that Django was so successful in Japan that it was the #1 movie in terms of sales for 2 years. And this came out in the 60s, and 1960s Japanese cinema was like the top, probably my favorite period aside from the 50s. But yeah, this movie is deservedly amazing. I really like Django. But what about Texas Adios? That movie is so bad that I was laughing my head off throughout the entire movie. The script made absolutely no sense. There was no continuity going on anyway in this movie. Franco Nero is playing a guy who has nothing to do with Django, but it's an unofficial sequel. But They also have a theme song where they were trying to do the Django theme song, which is amazing, by the way. If you haven't listened to it, go look it up, listen to it. But the one for Texas Adios is so bad. It was probably one of the worst theme songs I've heard in my life. And that should have been a sign for me about how bad the movie was going to be. But it's not a bad time. Like, Django is a lot of fun. It's a legitimately great film. But I had so much fun watching Texas Adios. And I'm not saying it's better than Django, because it's not. Django is one of the best westerns of all time. But Texas Adios just had me cracking up constantly. Because I'm usually not a fan of the western genre. I think of the movies that I've seen, they're very nostalgic for, the Confederacy and the Old South. Because a lot of our characters are, Confederate soldiers or whatever, fleeing from the war after it's finished. And in Django, this is why I love it so much, is that our main protagonist is from the Union, and he actively fights the KKK in Django, along with Mexican banditos. But it's the part of him battling and successfully overtaking the KKK and killing them that fills me with joy, because, KKK are evil. I don't want anything to do with anybody who has positive feelings towards the KKK, but it's just another reason why I love this movie, because it's not at all nostalgic for the Confederacy. So, what else? Texas Adios just has so many weird dialogue. Sergio Corbucci had nothing to do with it. They just casted Franco Nero a couple years later and were like, hey, you look great in a Western costume. Come be in our movie. And apparently it was a huge success when it came out, which I'm shocked about, because it is so mind-numbingly bad, in my opinion. It is so goofy at times. There's a specific moment that I just barely laughed, because Franco Nero is playing a character, and this character has a younger brother by the name Jim, and they're digging their own graves because 20 bandits are holding them at gunpoint, and the bandit leader is mocking him, being like, make sure you dig enough for the grave so your brother can fit into it. And he's like, don't worry about that, I'll get enough room for all of you. And he and his brother turn around and gun down 30 people with Winchester rifles. I don't know how that is not possible at all. They gunned down, 2 people gunned down 30 people. And then after that finishes, I don't know if the script was being self-aware or not, but this little brother is like, wasn't that a bit strange, to Franco Nero's character? And Franco Nero's like, yeah, if they wanted to kill us, they would have killed us. In my head, I'm like, I think the little brother meant, wasn't it weird or strange that we just gunned down 30 people and totally got away with it without any injuries or anybody shooting at us? This was the funniest moment ever. And it just keeps going the entire movie. There was not a slow part at all. It was so stupid, and I loved it. Yeah. That was a moment that just blew me away. I was like, I can't believe I'm watching this movie right now. But I think that's all my thoughts on this. It's a really quality release. You can spend hours just going through this. The essays, the special features. I believe there are commentary tracks on this. Yes. There are 2 commentary tracks on this. One is done by Stephen Prince, who is somebody who appears often throughout Criterion releases, Era Video. He's an expert in many different, film history eras and periods. So that sounds like a really good time to watch that. One note is that Texas Adios, that disc, is Blu-ray. It is not a 4K release. The print at times looked really scratched up and damaged. So they did what they could. It looks great. But there are times where the movie is stuttering and looks awful. Because, I guess it was a one film print around, and there was so many cases of dirt and scratches that they had to clean up. And Arrow did a really good job on that restoration. But the 4K looks incredible on Django. It's easily one of the best looking movies by them so far. Donnie Darko didn't wow me much in terms of the 4K, but I remember Tremors just looked freaking amazing. I still got to get through the Dario Argento 4K releases and The Hills Have Eyes. So the jury is still out in regards to how those remasters look. But I think that's it. I have nothing else to say. If you can find a copy of this, go get it. If not, this is the standard. So thank you all for watching. This was Django by Sergio Corbucci in 1966.